Hey friends, Rory McKernan here. Welcome to Mayhem Athlete, and one of my very dear friends, Chris Hinshaw, who I can give so much credit to for so much of the progression in my life as an athlete and a person. But most recently, I just finished a 2K row. Was like probably 10 seconds within my lifetime PR, and it's definitely like my 10-year PR. So thank you, because we just finished this progression. I'd love for you to tell people about it.
Yeah, so what this final workout was, in the 10-week progression, we ended with a 2,000 meter maximum effort row. The progression started with a 6-minute test, and the whole premise behind this progression, it was only one workout a week, was we're gonna take that 6-minute test and we're gonna call that your fast pace. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna practice that fast pace every single week. And the whole purpose is we're trying to create efficiency in that muscle memory at your targeted 2,000 meter time, that pace. And so for Rory, his whole goal was, I just want to break 7 minutes. And so we just practiced 145 over and over and over in these workouts.
And don't be too humble, it wasn't just me.
No.
We probably 1,000 people.
So there was 1,326 people that did this. And one of the things that every one of these athletes got out of this progression, I went through one by one, loaded all of their workout results, and I've calculated your easy pace, your moderate, your fast, your faster, your fastest, your sprint. I also created your fatigue factor between your 1-minute effort and your 6-minute effort. And I made a recommendation on where your training priority should be. Do you even know, should you work on speed or should you work on your endurance and the movement of rowing? I not only told you the recommendation, but based upon your results, I gave you a targeted time for either your 1 minute if you need more speed in your diet, or in your 6-minute if you need more endurance in your diet. All of this, those athletes received.
And it sounds like an exaggeration, but literally 1,300 people. There's probably more who didn't actually do the workout. So Chris literally personalized all of those things. Now, we're not just here to give you FOMO. People can still hit this on Mayhem Athlete. We're gonna archive this so they can go back and you can still do the 10 weeks. You just won't do it with the crew.
I mean, that's the thing, is that part of what we're trying to do is we're trying to give athletes more information. We're trying to get a greater level of personalization. And so this whole thing was, yes, we wanted to see performance improvement, and we wanted you to learn the importance of finding your fast pace, your 2,000 meter pace, so that you could hit a better performance from experience. But the other thing that we wanted was retention. And I'm not talking about retention for Mayhem Athlete. I want to retain you, because I know that if we retain you, we'll create that greatness. And so how do we do it? We use these workouts to help you better understand the next workouts that I program. So instead of you just doing fast pace in future workouts, you actually now have a targeted intensity. That's what's cool.
And it's not too late, like I said. You could go back and do the 10 weeks, but part of the big deal for me is like to get to fist bump, to get to high five, to get to do it in real time with your friends, both online and in person. So go back, do that, learn the paces like Chris said, so you can jump onto Mayhem aerobic capacity, know what you're doing, and maybe like me at 39 years old and 14 years into CrossFit, you can still say, Coach, thanks for the PR.
Man, that's so good. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1, go. All right. Got Scott and Rory here, and they're doing their final test, their 2,000 meter for time. They know what their target is. They've been practicing their target during the previous 10 weeks of workouts. Their opening 6-minute test was averaging a 145 pace. So they did 6 minutes at a 145 pace. Now what they're trying to do is extend that same pace for a total of 7 minutes, 2,000 meters. That is their goal. And so one of the things that people have a question on is, if you have a target of hitting and averaging that 145 or 7 minutes in this case for 2,000 meters, how do we pace it? Well, the truth is that we know we have that phosphagen energy system that is good for about 10 seconds of clean and significant. Matter of fact, the highest level of energy that we have is with the phosphagen system. We know that it burns clean, and with that power output, why not take advantage of it at the start? So what they're doing, and what you saw them, is that they pulled hard for the first 10 strokes. and then what they do is settle. But in their first 500 meters, because of that phosphagen system, that first 500 needs to be fast. So their goal, although they want to average a 145, what we want to see them at after the first 500 meters is somewhere in between a 143 and a 143.5. So they want to be about that second and a half faster because of that phosphagen system. But the truth is that the majority of that first 500 meters, they're just trying to find their rhythm, trying to find that pace that they could settle in and maintain through the second 500 as well as the third 500 and then into a portion of the fourth 500. Now in their second 500 meter interval, like I said, they should have their target speed locked in. Now, in our previous 10 weeks, the reason why we practiced that fast pace, that pace that you experienced in that 6-minute test over and over and over again, was to create that muscle memory. Remember, if you want to row a 7-minute 2K, then your muscles have to be prepared for the targeted speed. The more you practice that targeted speed, the more the muscles want to replicate it. You can't just magically wish to go this speed. You got to practice over and over and over again. And so that was the whole purpose. We didn't do any volume, right? You were doing one workout a week. But what we did was we drove home the targeted speed. And if you practice that speed, the body becomes comfortable. It becomes efficient at that speed. So that's what we want to do during the second 500 and the third 500. We want to lock it in. Now at the end of the third 500, this is going to be the most challenging part of this 2,000 meter interval. Why? Because the brain is going to be evaluating your level of pain, and it's going to look at, wow, we got 500 meters to go. And what it's going to do, if you're not prepared for this amount of pain, the brain is going to undermine your performance. Essentially what it's going to do is tell you, we're in deep trouble, and if you don't slow down, we're not going to finish. But what you have to do is make your muscles continue to move. It's interesting that in training, what we do is the brain tells the muscles all the time, you're doing it, you're doing it, you're doing it. But in competition, it flips, and the brain turns around and panics and doesn't allow the muscles to do what they were trained to do. So you must control the brain, and the key way to do that is be prepared at this sticking point in the workout. At the end of 500 meters, know that the brain is going to create doubt. It's going to tell you, we're in deep trouble and you better slow down. You're gonna hurt. But if you're prepared, you're not going to actually underperform because the brain's going to expect that to happen. Remember, your plan must create a perceived amount of exertion, pain, and it must match that perceived amount of exertion with actual. So if you underestimate your amount of pain, you will underperform. So match it up. That's where the mental game comes in. At the end of this 1,500 meters, you should be exactly on your target pace. Your average speed should be with your goal speed. So what do you have to do? You got to bring it home. Now, a lot of athletes, they make the mistake of making that move way too soon. Nobody can sprint to the finish with more than 30 seconds to go. So if you want to accelerate, certainly start accelerating further out than 30 seconds. But if you're doing maximum velocity, a speed endurance sprint, just remember, that's about 30 seconds. So for these guys, if they're on target, they're going to start pushing at around 6 minutes and 25 seconds, and they're going to really lay it on the line at around 6:30 and really bring it home. And if they do it right, then you know what? That last 500 will be about a half a second faster than target, and they'll go a 6-minute, 59.5 second 2K. That's the goal, all right? See how they're doing. So the whole time, they're on pace, they're doing great. Matter of fact, ahead of pace. The whole time the brain is doing an evaluation. It's examining how are we feeling. That's what it's doing. How are we feeling? And it's thinking about the remaining distance that they have to go. Are you confident or are you discouraged? And part of what your training should do is build your confidence that you know where you are relative to your remaining distance. That was outstanding. All day, every day. That was the fastest 7 minutes.
That hurt.
Woo! They brought it home nicely. Scott was finishing up at the end there, you know, close to around a 141, 142, and those last like 30-second sprint with Rory is down at 136. 130. Woo! Rory pulled a 650. Scott 148. Wow. Dude, that is outstanding. So what's really impressive here about what they just did is that their target, what they trained for, they realized right away that they can go faster than that. And that's the whole purpose of training. What we're really trying to do in our training is to build our level of knowledge that creates confidence. And so they know by feel what it feels like to row 2,000 meters. I mean, they know what it feels like to row 5,000 meters. The fact is that the more practice you have at that particular speed, at that particular distance, the more the body can replicate it. And that's why we train. Scott, you did great, man. So how was it at 1,500 meters?
Yeah, actually, I think I pushed a little too hard on the second one because the third one wasn't bad, and then I got to the last one, I didn't have as much
at the end
as I needed to have.
Yeah.
It was tough.
But how'd you feel at 1,500 at the end?
I
At
felt
1,500?
That's when you're supposed to speed up, and I was like struggling to maintain my speed. And about the last 250, I could go.
Yeah.
But I think I went a little too hard in the third increment.
Which is great. So what Scott's saying is that he knew in the fourth 500 meters that it's like, okay, it's go time. But part of it is that you can't go too soon or you'll blow up. And so you're doing this constant evaluation of like, okay, I've got 300 to go, should I go? And it's like, I don't know, not yet. And at 250, you were confident enough, it's like, okay, I could bring it home for the remaining minute.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rory, how about you, man? Like a 130 pull at that.
I felt like a boss. So at 1,500, I was conservative.
Yeah.
Because I kept saying what you said. I was like, it's gonna hurt, it's gonna hurt, it's gonna hurt.
And it didn't?
It didn't hurt yet.
That's amazing, right?
So like, then at 500, I started trying to pull like a boss. I had no idea where he was because he was cheating and looking at my monitor.
Yeah, I noticed the setup. That was, dude. So
that move.
That is veteran.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, that's like.
I knew he couldn't beat me if I could see his monitor.
He's a good young man.
Yeah, I mean, I was wondering what the strategy there was on the lineup. So that must have been a boost for you because I know like the last workout when we were really playing around with your fast intensity.
Yes.
And that workout hurt you. And
yeah.
This one was a nice one because it was like you hit 500 to go and it was like, wow, I'm still good.
It's expectation too, right? Like anything else. Like when I take pressure off, I'm like, screw it, man, we're just working out.
Yeah.
As bad as I want to beat him because he's been talking trash lately. For 39 years old, that's probably not too far off my PR lifetime.
Yeah.
And so I'm happy with it.
No, it's really good.
It's a casual Tuesday, baby.
Well, and what's really good is that, you know, I mean, every athlete remembers these types of events. And if it was a good experience, you're okay in doing it again. I mean, I did a 2K row back in, must have been 2011, but it was in a competition. I haven't done another one since.
Yes.
Because it was brutal.
At the 09 SoCal Regionals, it was a 2K into a workout. And I remember back then holding like a 147 and confidently going into the workout. And so you're right, like when you can tell yourself you're not hurting as bad as you're hurting,
yeah.
Which I'm not great at, but I'm working on it.
That's interesting. So one of the characteristics that would tell me is that you need in your workouts good warm-ups. And if you go out hot, then what's going to happen is you'll turn yourself inside out and then you'll have that bad performance in the tail end, and that's what you carry away.
Yeah.
And Rich is the same way. So one of the things with Froning that I learned early on is if I'm gonna do a workout with volume, the volume needs to be in the beginning of the workout at a low intensity. If I hit him hard in the beginning of a workout, he just falls off. So what we do is we just build it in slowly. And once he's warm, he's not opposed to suffering with, you know, the best of them.
Sure.
Same with you,
Yeah.
but I gotta get warm.
Way warm.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Like,
you even had,
it's my age, you know?
yeah, well, you had a huge warm up too,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
At least a 20-minute warm up probably.
Yeah, so the warm-up and the protocol in the warm-up is that you want to build up your heart rate to about 180 minus your age would be the heart rate. And then the whole purpose of the warm-up, you want to do some bursts in there, so some 10-stroke bursts, and then allow the heart rate to come back down again. I would do 3 10-second bursts, but I would also, in my warm-up, lock in that muscle memory for the target pace of what you guys did. Yeah.
And I would say it was super helpful that you gave us this. Like, I'm not great at a plan when it's like, okay, carry the 2, and on the 3rd round you got to do a backflip, all that kind of stuff. Too
Yeah.
complicated.
Yep.
This was simple. I could glance at it, and I knew where I was. You know.
Yeah, you just stare at your number and you know if you're going
Yes.
too fast or too slow from
Yeah.
like one number.
Because my brain definitely started doing stuff at like.
Yeah.
But
1,000.
what's nice is that you guys both hit that 1500 and you looked at your monitor and you said, okay, my goal was to be at 145 and you're under it,
Yep.
which is a boost.
Yep. For sure.
You know, and that it's like, you know, based upon how you're feeling, it's like, and there's nothing better in an event when you say to yourself, that's where I was supposed to be. I feel pretty good. I got it.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
I know, I always wonder what it would be like.
so much, man.
You're welcome. Nice job. I always wonder what it would be like to be like, you know, like Froning, where in these events he looks, you know, and he's like, oh, no one's there. And it's like, okay, I got it.
Yes.
Right? And that's what you guys felt. Like that's, yeah.
I thought I had you. I had no idea where you were.
Yeah.
Dude, the setup.
Yeah.
Right. But that's so good.
Yeah.
No, well done, you guys. All right.
Thanks, Coach. That was
2K.
awesome.
Well done.
Good job.
Dude,
Thank you.
I'm impressed, man.